Got an odd development today involving the courts. Rudy Giuliani, Ruby Freeman, and Shay Moss, who have a $150 million defamation judgment against Rudy, and an announced settlement to resolve certain of their matters. Not quite what I thought was going to happen, but a victory nonetheless for Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss if the settlement terms are abided by. And we know that Rudy Giuliani is a recidivist. He likes to violate the terms of agreements. So don't be surprised if I'm right back here reporting that he's violated the settlement agreement and he's back in hot water all over again. I'm going to report for you right here on Legal AF, the YouTube channel, about Rudy Giuliani. Now, we've been talking a lot about him recently. He was found in contempt by two different courts just last week. One has threatened to even put him in jail if he does it again. That's the D.C. Election Interference Court. But I'm going to focus on Judge Lyman in the Southern District of New York, who's the federal judge and Trump appointee, who's responsible for all things Rudy Giuliani, and Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman, the two Fulton County, Georgia election workers, mother and daughter, who hold a $150 million judgment for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and punitive damages related to Rudy Giuliani attacking them publicly on Fox and other news outlets, claiming that they were committing voter fraud when all they were doing was that lowly, thankless job of counting votes. All right, that's where we are with that. They got the $150 million judgment and have been trying to enforce it ever since. Rudy filed bankruptcy, dismissed because it was bad faith filing. Rudy tries to avoid by hiding his assets, two major assets of his, an apartment in New York worth about $4 or $5 million, an apartment or condo in Florida near Mar-a-Lago worth maybe $3 or $4 million. That is the bulk of his assets. He's got some watches, he's got some Yankee rings, he's got an old car, but that's like the bulk of the assets. Let's call it an even $10 million. And they had the right as creditors to take those away from him. In fact, they were all ordered turned over. The watches, the paintings, the Yankee memorabilia, the two apartments, the old Mercedes, the old beater of a Mercedes, turn it over. And of course, Rudy Giuliani dragging his feet, violating court orders, got sideways with Judge Lyman, got found in contempt last week. In fact, he would not be able to probably save his Florida condo. It would have to be turned over as a result of the judge's ruling on contempt. So let's be frank. Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss had Rudy Giuliani exactly where they wanted him. He was cornered, and they just want to get paid. They don't want to own condos. They want cash on the barrelhead. Cash is king. And so now there was a hearing today in order for the Judge Lyman, to conduct an evidentiary hearing about the Florida condo, whether he was a resident of Florida or not at the appropriate time, about who owns the World Series rings, him or his son, stuff like that. And then we were tapping our foot. I said, I knew it started in the morning. We were kind of tapping our foot, and nobody was showing up for these hearings. The judge wasn't on the bench. Nobody was showing up. The media was reporting, Rudy's a no-show 5 hours in. But that's not what happened. What happened is apparently there was a settlement that broke out in the last 3 days that included the morning. And I'm sure, and I'll tell you as a practicing lawyer, that settled cases on everywhere. Courthouse steps, in the courtroom, on the steps, in the judge's chambers. I've settled a case effectively in a bathroom. I've done it in a cafeteria. If there's justice to be had, I'm going to find a way to do it. In a hallway, out in front of the courthouse, with the judge's involvement, without the judge's involvement, every which way. So I'm sure they phoned into the judge. You don't insult or be found in contempt to a federal judge and don't show up, and said, we're working on a settlement. Can we have a few more days? And they actually filed a document, sort of a placeholder. I'd done a hot take on it, but we didn't get it up quick enough. And they did a kind of a placeholder that said, we've got the makings of a settlement. In my business, we call it like a suggestion of settlement. We're working on a doc. If he does certain things, we'll agree. We'll dismiss the trial in the case and all that. And I thought at the time, all right, well, maybe they're letting him sell Mar-a-Lago and keep $500,000 and give them the rest. But that's not the settlement. According to the New York Times, the settlement seems to be he gets to keep all of his property. But have a seat. I was upset too. He gets to keep all of his property, but he's going to come up with some cash. Now, the question is, who's giving Rudy Giuliani cash to settle this case? I mean, I know MAGA is awash with cash, especially Donald Trump. I mean, is Donald Trump floating him a $5 million loan? I don't know the amount of the cash payment. I just know that there is a cash payment in lieu of him having to turn over about $10 million in property. So I assume it's somewhere, when we finally figure it out, in the next few days. It's somewhere approaching 5 million, 8 million, 7 million. Time value of money matters. Getting that check now, rather than continuing to fight Rudy Giuliani into the future, is important. There's a time value of money aspect of this. So look, I don't know the payment amount. It's going to be some substantial 7-figure payment, I assume. Is it 8 figures? I doubt it. And then the real question is, where's he getting the money from? I mean, his podcast isn't making it. His GoFundMe page isn't doing it. It's got to be coming from some big mega donor that's bailing him out. I mean, Hunter Biden found a billionaire to bail him out, or a multimillionaire. Maybe he found $5 million in his couch, inside the cushions. And that's what he's turned over. I know the lawyers at Wilkie Farr and Gallagher who are representing Ruby Freeman and Shane Moss effectively for free, pro bono. I doubt they are ending the case or entering into a settlement for anything that doesn't have millions of dollars involved in a settlement payment. All they're trying to do, I get it. Although we like the torment of Rudy Giuliani, what they're trying to do as good ethical lawyers is connect their clients to the money, and a large sum of money, as quickly as possible. So maybe Rudy offered $1 million or $2 million or $5 million, and then they started negotiating. That's the reporting for right now. But the only way this happened is because they've been crushing Rudy. They got the judgment, the default judgment against them. They got the punitive damage award of $150 million. They beat him in the bankruptcy, and having him be declared a phony bankruptcy, a bad faith filing bankruptcy. They beat him in Judge Lyman's chambers. They got him found in contempt. He was on the verge of losing because of their great lawyering, the Palm Beach County condo. He already had turned over most of the New York condo. He already emptied out his apartments and was living like out of his car. So they won. And especially last week when he got found in contempt, not once but twice, crushed him to put the clients into a leveraged position to negotiate the best deal possible. I mean, that's what my goal is as a lawyer. At every moment, every interval in a case, to put my client in a leveraged position to make the decision they want to make, whether to try the case or settle the case, and have them lead and have that tactical or negotiating advantage. That's my goal. Obviously, that's the goal of the Wilkie Farr lawyers representing Shane Moss and Ruby Freeman. So I'll continue to follow it all and update you on this developing story. You're on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Hit the free subscribe button. We're trying to get to 500,000 in the next 60 days. With your help, we will. And I thank the 400,000 or so that have already joined as subscribers. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.